Okay, so the yarn that I'm using 3 different colors. I got them all from Joann's, but I think you can get this brand at like Walmart and stuff too. So they are all the same. For medium, the hook size I'm using is a 5mm hook. You're also going to need some scissors. As for the colors, we have a frosty green, a white, and then the name of the purple one I'm using is medium purple. So these are just the 3 colors I used. Of course, you can add more colors, totally up to you. So we're going to be making these kinds of granny squares, and they're super easy to make. I did 10 rows on mine, but if you want your bag to be smaller, you do less rows. If you want your bag to be bigger, you do more rows. The size of my granny square is 11 inches by 11 inches, and you're going to be making 3 the exact same size. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how to make these. So we're going to start with a magic ring, and that makes this little center part right here. Don't worry if you don't know how to make a magic ring. I'm going to go over it pretty well. You're going to take your end of your string, lay it over your 2 fingers, and pinch with your thumb. Wrap around, go underneath that thumb in like a crisscross kind of section, pinch it with your thumb, rotate your fingers. You're going to use this finger to hold it in place. So let me show you guys how to do that one more time. 2 fingers, lay the end of your yarn over it, pinch with your thumb, wrap over, cross under the thumb, like this, pinch, rotate your hand, take your ring finger and hold it together. And now, you're going to take your hook, go under the first loop, and then you're going to pull through that second loop, kind of do a twist and pull up. And then you're going to grab that yarn and pull through, just like that. But let me show you guys how to do that one more time. You're going to go underneath that first loop here. You're going to twist your hook so you can pick up the yarn, pull it through, twist, and then you're going to go and pull that yarn through. Just like this, and then you can take it off your fingers and you have a magic ring. The next thing that you're going to be doing is chaining 3. And you're going to do this for every row you start. It's 1, 2, and 3 chains on your hook. And we're going to be making these little clusters of double crochets like right here. And these are 3 double crochets. And this chain you made counts as your first double crochet. So go ahead and yarn over, insert your hook into your magic ring, yarn over and pull through, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, yarn over again, pull through 2. Now you have 2 double crochets. You need 1 more, so yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over and pull through 2. So that is a cluster of 3. You can go ahead and pull this little string here to close your magic ring circle. Might be easier for you to work with. So here we have our cluster of 3. So now we just did the cluster. We need to make this little chain space that we see. And to do that, pretty easy, you're just going to chain 2. And then you'll continue normally, just making those little clusters with 3 double crochets. And for the first row, you will need 4 of those clusters. So I'm going to continue doing that, of just doing 3 double crochets, chaining 2, and then another 3 double crochets until I reach the end And I'll show you guys how to connect the ends together. So here you can see I have finished my last cluster, and I have 4 of those clusters total. I'm just making sure my circle here is pretty tight, closing it up. So to end it, we're going to be going into this little chain 3 that we did, which counted as our first double crochet. But first you want to chain 2, because that's what we do after every cluster. And then at the very top of this stitch, this double crochet, or that chain 3, the very top stitch right here, we're going to insert our hook, and we're just going to do a slip stitch. Nothing crazy, just a slip stitch. And there you have your first row completed. You can see we have 4 little clusters. And then to end off, you're just going to chain 1, cut your string here. This is for if you wanted to do a color change. If you don't do a color change, you don't need to do this part, but if you're doing a color change, you're going to want to cut your yarn. And with my little tail here, this little fabric, I like to, not fabric, yarn, sorry. I like to insert my hook into the next stitch over and pull that yarn through. You could just also use a sewing needle and sew it through to hide your little tail of yarn here. This is just what I do. I just kind of weave it in with my hook. Just kind of makes it look a little bit more clean. And I'll also show you a little trick when we do the next row to even hide it further. And this also just ensures it really stays into place. So this is the first row. For the second row, adding on a new color, just do a slip knot. Go ahead and grab your first row here, and we're going to be working on the back of it. So here is the front, flip it around, and we're going to be working in one of the chain spaces here. Doesn't really matter which one. So I'm just going to insert my hook into the chain space, and I'm going to add on my new color yarn, and then I'm going to pull it through, and I'm going to go ahead and chain 3. And this will be the same for every new row you start. You always chain 3, and that counts as your first double crochet. So we're going to go ahead and put a cluster of those double crochets. So go ahead and yarn over, insert into that chain space, and you're going to insert your 2 more double crochets. And mind you, that little tail we have here, I'm making sure when I'm inserting my hook, I'm going underneath that tail and then pulling kind of over it to kind of keep it in place. So here's my first cluster. But if you look, I have 2 right here. So in those corner spaces, you're going to have 2. To separate the 2, you're going to chain twice. So chain 2, and then you're just going to do another cluster of the 3 double crochets. I guess I'll just call them clusters to make it more cohesive. So here you have 2 clusters, and they're separated by a chain of 2. And this will be the exact same for every little corner space you have here. So here, here, and here. You're going to do 2 clusters, and they're going to be separated by a chain 2. And as you can see here, we did that for every corner we have here. All around for this row, and even for the following rows, we do that for every corner. And that's how we get increasing for our size of our square. So then you're going to come across another cluster from the previous row, and you're just going to want to chain 1. And then you're going to come across the corner again, and that's when you put your clusters. But here, if you remember, I talked about hiding your little tails. You're going to try to yarn under and over that little tail when you're doing your clusters to kind of keep it in place. You don't have to do this, but I like to do this to kind of keep all my little loose ends kind of hidden and I don't have to like sew them in later. It's just easier for me. You don't have to. So go ahead and put in your first cluster of 3 double crochets, and then you're going to chain 2, and then you're going to put in another cluster, those 3 double crochets. After that, you're going to come across that little cluster from the previous row, and that's when you're just going to chain 1, and then you're going to do the exact same thing for the corners, 2 of the clusters separated by chain 2. You're just going to do this all the way until you reach the end, and I'll show you how to join the ends together. So we're at the end here. We're going to chain 1 because we're underneath a little cluster. And then we're going to end it the same way we did the previous row, where we just go at the very top of that chain 3. And we're just going to do a slip stitch into that very top stitch there. Just a slip stitch. Just like this. And that is your second row. You're going to end it the same way by just chaining 1, cutting your string, and then you can weave in the ends like I just did for the previous row. You do the exact same thing. I just weave them in like this. So here we have the second row. Right here, now we have to do the third row. And it's going to be pretty much the same concept, except we're going to do something a little different when we come to these openings here. And I'll show you how to do it. You're going to add on your new color the same way you did the previous row. And remember to work on the back side. You're going to insert your hook into one of the corners, add on your yarn, starting the exact same way we have been. Going to go ahead and pull through, and we're chaining 3, which you remember counts as your first double crochet in your first cluster of the corner. So go ahead and do the exact same thing that you've been doing for the corners, of doing a cluster of 3 double crochets, chaining 2, and then another cluster of 3 double crochets. And then you have your cluster of 3 down here, so you will chain 1. Now we are coming across this little opening. We are going to just put a cluster all in this one opening right here. So we're going to put 3 double crochets in these openings that we see. Just like this. Nothing too crazy. And then the next one you have those clusters of 3. So you're just going to chain 1. Then you're back at your corner spot and you're going to do the same thing you do for your corners. And you'll see as the rows go on, they will increase and you'll have more, like in the next row, you're going to have more of those little chain spaces to put your clusters into as the rows continue. So I will show you again on the next side. You're going to chain 1 and then in that little cluster spot, put just 3 double crochets. So you have another cluster. Just like that. And that's pretty much the pattern. And then you're going to end it the exact same way. Chain 1, insert your hook at the very top of that first little double crochet you made, slip stitch, chain 1, cut your yarn and pull through, and that's pretty much it. So you're just going to follow this pattern, and if you have to rewind and rewatch the steps, go for it. But in every corner, make sure that you put 2 of these clusters divided by chain 2. And then when you get to these rows and there's these little openings, you put a cluster. And see how like in this row there's 2, and it will just continue to increase. For my bag, I ended up doing 10 rows. This is what it looks like. And you're going to be needing 3 panels. If you want your bag to be bigger, you do more rows. If you want it to be smaller, you do less rows. And you're going to go ahead and fold your squares in half. And we're going to line them up to make the shape of our bag. So we're going to be sewing it all together or stitching it together along these seams here, all the way on the back too, on both sides. And we're going to start with 2 pieces to start with, so it's less confusing. We're going to insert our hook. When you look at that corner piece, I'm going to go into the stitch right here, just like this. And then we're going to grab our yarn. I have a little slip knot on it. And I'm making sure the yarn is parallel, running parallel with the seam, just like so. Then I will be attaching my yarn. And just pull it through like this. And then I'm going to come over to the other square here and insert my hook into that exact same stitch that right here that I did for that side. So go ahead and insert right here. And then grab your yarn and you're going to do a slip stitch through all these loops here. Let me get a little closer so you can see. Just do a slip stitch. Just like this. And you want to make sure your string is, or your yarn is still running parallel in between. Just like so. Now, the next step, let me get situated here, is we're going to be working in these little back loops here. If you can see, you're going to be working along these loops. So go ahead and insert your hook into the back loop. And then for the yarn, make sure your hook goes over that yarn. And then insert into the back loop on the other square you have. And then you're going to grab your yarn over, and you're going to do a slip stitch through all of those loops. Just like this. You're just going to keep doing this. Into the next stitch, go into the back loop, and then go to your other square, making sure you have your yarn underneath your hook. Insert into that back loop, grab your yarn over and slip stitch. And this is all we're going to be doing. Next stitch over, go into the back loop. Make sure this yarn here is tucked underneath. Go into the back loop for the next square. Grab your yarn over and do a slip stitch. You're just going to continue doing this pattern, this type of stitch, working in the back loops all the way along until you reach the end. So just keep doing this. And this is what it should start looking like as you keep doing this stitch. So I've finished this, putting these 2 pieces together, and to end it, you're just going to chain 1, cut your yarn here, and then pull it through like so. And then lay it out. Now you can see it's all sewn together. and have a nice seam. Looks pretty seamless. Looks very nice all the way around, just like so. You kind of have like a little triangle or half square here. Now you're just going to do the exact same thing for this remaining square we have here. Just fold it in half. You're going to do the same thing you did on that side. So just start at this corner right here. Insert your hook right in here. You're going to work all the way around doing the exact same stitch. So here it all is sewn together, and it's starting to look a lot more like an actual bag. But now we need to add our straps, and you can do this whatever color. I'm going to do mine in white, and you're going to be working in this top corner section on each side of your bag all the way around here. And I'm going to put my hook into the top of this double crochet right here. I'm going to insert my hook in there. Go ahead and insert your hook like this. Add on your new yarn. Like I said, I'm doing white. You can do whatever color you want. It's kind of up to you. Go ahead and pull that through, and then we're going to be chaining 2. Now, in all of these stitches here, we're going to be doing half double crochets. So yarn over, insert your hook, pull through 1, yarn over, and pull through all of your loops. So again, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through all the loops. So you're just going to do half double crochets all the way along, and when you come to the corner space, just put 2 half double crochets in that corner space, just like this, and then just continue doing it normally for the rest of these stitches here. So I've reached my end here. This is the first row. So for the next row, and this is how you're going to start every row. You'll chain 2, flip your work. You're going to skip the first stitch, and then we're going to go into the second one. And we're going into the back loops of these. So skip the first one and go into the second, but the back loop. And just do a half double crochet. And then work along each stitch, inserting into that back loop of the stitch with a half double crochet. Of course, you don't have to do the back stitches. If you want to just do normal half double crochets for every row, go for it. Now don't forget the very last stitch. It is kind of hidden, so make sure you don't forget that one. Otherwise your count's just going to be off. And this is what it's going to start looking like. Make sure you just count your stitches and make sure everything is still there. And then you're just going to continue doing this pattern, starting with chaining 2, flipping your work, and doing those half double crochets in the back stitches, skipping the first stitch here and inserting into the second one. And like I said, you don't have to do this method. You can just do regular half double crochets or even double crochets, single crochets. It's up to you. But you're going to just keep doing this until you get the length you want for your strap. Alright, so I've reached my desired length, and how I'm going to attach it is the same way that I actually attach the granny squares right here. So it's going to be the same method. So you're going to line everything up, starting with the corner piece in that first double crochet right here. And just like doing the seams for the squares, you're just going to go into the back loops of each piece and then doing a slip stitch to combine them. So you're just going to go right here into the back loop of this piece, back loop of this one, yarning over and pulling through. So the exact same way we did when we joined the squares together. So go ahead and do that. Attach your strap to the other corner. To finish it off, just chain 1, cut your thread, and pull through. Now you just have to go around and sew in all your loose ends and make sure that there's no loose threads hanging around. But here's the finished look. I ended up adding a little bow to mine, but I feel like it came out super cute, super easy to make, and really fast. I did it in like a single day. And it even fits a cute little makeup bag. If you guys want to make this little makeup bag, I have a video on that in the description below. And it fits perfectly. But as always, thanks you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something new and have fun crocheting out there. Bye bye.